works. That's absolutely how it works. Good morning, Celebration Spirits.
Good morning.
How's everybody doing?
Great.
So, I am enjoying this month. I'm enjoying our series. This is week 2. And for those who haven't been here, I'll do a quick recap. The title of our series this month is The Wonderful World of Wisdom. And what we're doing is we're taking animated movies and sort of uncovering and looking at the spiritual truths that are behind these movies. So last week we used Finding Nemo, and we came from the topic of a world created by fear. Now when we look at the story of Nemo, it hinges on this beginning of Marlin having most of his family killed and his wife Coral killed. And he makes a decision that he will never let any danger happen to him or Nemo again. And he creates this protective buffer around himself and around Nemo, which then pushes the story along because his fear begins to create the circumstances that ultimately have Nemo captured and all these other things happen. And so what we talked about was that if you look at your life, if you look at our lives, there were those moments when we created a buffer, a protective shell around us because of something that happened, or something that was done, or something that someone said, or something that someone didn't say. And we made a certain vow about our lives, but then we created the circumstances, again, that were based on fear. And so we learned and discussed that we must begin to create a world from love. So we're in week 2 now. And our movie, for those that don't know, our movie for this week is Kung Fu Panda. Great movie. And so, as I was thinking about this message, I was actually reminded of The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. The Secret, how many people have seen the DVD or read the book and we're all familiar with it? You know, it was a huge phenomenon. Wonderful. And what's interesting to me about The Secret, while I think it has been hugely beneficial for many of us, I think it's actually based on a flawed premise. It's based on this premise that there are these people that hid knowledge from us, and because there's this hidden knowledge, they succeeded in life, and our lives are just terrible, but now it's being revealed, and so now we can live a life just as great as them. And the truth is that the secret has never been a secret, right? That you can look all throughout ancient texts that have been in print for many times, for many, many years, that, you know, it seems with each decade, with each generation, with each century, these ideas that thoughts create things, these ideas that we have control over our lives, these ideas have been ever present. Different language, right? You can find it in the Bible, you can find it in the Kabbalah, you can find it in the Course in Miracles, you can find it in the teachings of Abraham Hicks, you can find it all over. You can find it in the Tao Te Ching, you can find it in the teachings of Buddha, you can find it in Islam, you can find it any and almost everywhere, right? So it's really hasn't been a secret. But what's interesting to me about the story behind the creation of The Secret is that it includes a secret. That the very thing that I think would have helped more people achieve different results with The Secret, because I find that many people were excited about The Secret, but then it just kind of petered out. Something didn't work. Something was missing. The Secret was really based on the teachings of Abraham Hicks. In our time, 20th century into now the 21st century, Abraham Hicks is really the teacher that brings in this idea and really coins the idea of law of attraction. And after this DVD was produced, the television station that was originally supposed to air it asked that they remove the teachings of Abraham Hicks. Because they were talking a lot about vibration, and they just felt like saying, you know, it was too mystical and too spooky to talk about vibration and use the words the way that Abraham Hicks was teaching it. And so that's why there are 2 versions of The Secret. There's the version that includes those teachings, and there's a version without it. Similarly, Think and Grow Rich. If you look at the original version of Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill was talking about vibration. He was talking about this thing that Michael Beckwith would call a feeling tone. He was talking about this idea that you have to feel something within you, that it's not just enough to just think the thoughts, because I don't know about you, has anybody ever thought the thought, I want to be rich? Are you rich? You know what I'm saying? So we understand that it's not just about thinking the thought, that there's something else. Again, as Abraham Hicks calls it, vibration or the feeling tone, that there's something that must be added with it. And so it's ironic to me that, you know, The Secret, for all of its so-called revealing the secret, actually kept the secret out of it. But what I want you to understand, and I say that as a flawed premise, I want you to understand that there really is no secret. And so that's why we have the topic today, there is no secret ingredient. Now, in the story of Kung Fu Panda, for those who haven't seen the movie, and I'm just going to give you a quick synopsis of the story. We have this panda. His name is Po. And he is absolutely obsessed with Kung Fu. I wish there was a better word, but he's obsessed with Kung Fu. He dreams about it. And not only is he obsessed with Kung Fu, but he's obsessed with the Kung Fu masters, the Furious Five. He has their action figures. He pretends that he's them. When he's dreaming, he dreams that he's fighting with them. He also has a father who's a goose named Mr. Ping, who owns and runs a noodle shop. And just by recognizing that his father is a goose and he's a panda, he doesn't fit in. Right? He's too big for the noodle shop. His head is always hitting the ceiling. It just doesn't really work. And so there's this momentous day that comes when the village finds out that the dragon warrior is going to be chosen. And it's said that the dragon warrior will be the greatest Kung Fu master that has ever been seen, and everybody's been waiting for 1,000 years for this to happen. So of course, Po is excited. And so, a long story short, the master, Wu, chooses Po as the dragon warrior. But the way it happens, it wasn't the way everybody thought it would happen, because everybody knew that one of the Furious Five, who were the great fighters, they would be one of the dragon warriors. But Po just kind of shows up. He's trying to get to the stadium, and eventually he just kind of explodes into the stadium and disrupts everything. And then the master Wu chooses him and says, "You are the dragon warrior," and everybody's upset. Now, the master who's supposed to teach him, Shifu, is extremely upset, because he's like, "I can't teach this guy. He's a panda, he's overweight, he's not in shape, he hasn't studied for years and years and years. If you're going to be a master, you have to live this thing, and you have to be someone who has studied with other masters, and he's insufficient." And so what Shifu does is he tries everything to get Po to leave. So he takes him through this grueling training, but Po doesn't quit. He actually gets excited. He's like, "Oh, that hurts. Yes, give me more." Because he loves Kung Fu, and he's so excited with just being around these masters and all the things that he's dreamed about, and seeing all of the different artifacts from all of the great wars and battles. And finally, through a conversation that Master Shifu has with his master, Wu, he comes to realize that he has to train Po the panda. He has to train him and treat him as if he is the dragon warrior. And so he makes that decision. And he trains him, and things begin to change, right? It's a fun part of the story. You'll have to watch the movie to get all of that. But now we get to this point where, okay, he's the chosen dragon warrior. Shifu has trained him. And so if you're the dragon warrior, now you must be given the dragon scroll. And it's said that the person who reads the dragon scroll will know all knowledge, will be able to just fight in a way that nobody has ever seen before, and it's this magic knowledge. He gives him the scroll, he opens the scroll, and it's blank. There's nothing there. There's no wisdom. There's no ancient writing that will tell him how great he is or how to be great. There's no secret mantras or affirmations. There's no special formula to be great. None of that is there. It's blank. And so, naturally, Po is a little confused. His master is also a little confused and disappointed. And so, Po goes back home, and he goes to have a conversation with his father. And as he's explaining his disappointment, his father says to him, "I think it's time for me to tell you what the secret ingredient is in my secret ingredient noodle soup." And so he's thinking, this is kind of off base, because I'm telling you, I've gone through all this training, and I was really excited to become a Kung Fu master, and I get this scroll, and there's nothing on it, it's blank. And his father says to him, he says, "The secret ingredient to my secret ingredient soup is that there is no secret ingredient." And he goes on, he says, "To make something special, you just have to believe it's special." And so this is where I want us to get to today, because I know that many of us, we're seekers, and we've read so many books, and we've listened to so many teachers, and we're looking for the secret ingredient. We're looking for that thing that will finally be the thing that flips the switch in our life, will finally be the thing that allows us to be what we desire to be, allows us to be and experience what we want to be and experience. And what I'm here to tell you is that there is no secret ingredient. That in in truth, the scroll is blank. It is simply, as his father says, to make something special, you simply have to believe it's special. Now, I was reminded, as I was thinking about this message, I was reminded of a quote in A Course in Miracles in Lesson 188, which says the same thing in a different way. It says this: enlightenment is but a recognition, not a change at all. But a recognition. When you understand something to be true, then you're enlightened. Again, his father says to make something special, you simply have to believe it's special. Just the recognition of it, that it's special, makes it special. That's how powerful you are, right? But enlightenment, that's all it requires. It's not about a change. It's not like all of a sudden, your skin is going to turn a different color or something because you're enlightened or you're going to glow, right? No. Enlightenment is a recognition of what is true, what you're deciding to be true for your life. And then you will have all that you desire. So as I was thinking about this, there's no secret ingredient, that enlightenment is but a recognition. It reminded me of a phrase that I'm sure many of us are familiar with, an acronym: KISS. Some would say keep it simple, stupid. Keep it simple, silly. And I was looking at the origin of that acronym. KISS is an acronym for Keep It Simple, Stupid, as a design principle noted by the U.S. Navy in 1960. The KISS principle states that most systems work best if they are kept simple than made complicated. Therefore, simplicity should be a key goal in design, and unnecessary complexity should be avoided. The phrase has been associated with aircraft engineer Kelly Johnson, who lived from 1910 to 1990. The KISS principle was in popular use in 1970. Variations on the phrase include keep it short and simple, keep it simple and straightforward, or again, keep it simple, stupid. And so what I want to advise us is to actually keep it simple. Now, I've said it in other messages. I did a message called The Simple Truth. We did another message that said, go back in the house, right? What I want us to understand, we can say this a bunch of different ways, is that it's really simple. And there are three questions. Where are you? Who are you? And then what can you do with this knowledge? Well, where are we? We live in a vibrational universe. All that we see and know to be physical, science tells us that it's just vibrating at a slower rate, and so that's why we can taste it, or touch it, or smell it, the physical. But actually, all of life, everything is vibrating, everything is moving. The Kabbalion tells us that. There's a principle of vibration. We're going to teach the Kabbalion next month. That's what our series will be about. Principle of vibration, everything is moving, nothing's at rest. Which is beautiful, because that means when you're in the midst of a challenge or circumstance or difficulty and it feels like you can't get out, the principle of vibration is the thing that comes back to your mind and says everything is moving. So that means that even this challenge, this difficulty, this circumstance, this brick wall that I seem to have in front of me right now is actually moving and can be changed. Nothing is at rest. That's why that's true. And so if we're in a vibrational universe and everything is vibrating, everything is moving, then that must include us. That means that you are a vibrational being. And it is by vibration and vibration alone that everything is created. Everything is formed first from the level of thought, from the level of vibration, from the level of the non-physical. And then it comes into the physical. So where are we again? We are in a vibrational universe and everything vibrates. Another way to talk about that is that all is mind. That everything is actually thought. We live in the world of effects. We live in the world that comes after the cause, the first cause, the first thing. And it's very interesting to think about, because many times we, again, make this world the most important thing. Everything that happens here is secondary. Can you appreciate that? Can you appreciate that? Everything that happens here is actually secondary. I mean, look around. Everything in this room was first in mind first. It was first a thought. And then that thought was mixed with emotion and feeling. Somebody got excited about it and said, I want to create this gallery called Soapbox Gallery. And so it is. And now we have a physical form. Pastor Yolanda and I first thought of Celebration Spiritual Center. We got excited about it. We let our vibration continue to move. We got in alignment with what is true, because it was already created. Once it exists in thought, it exists. Like, think of a boat. There it is. It's in your mind. It exists. Think of a car. It's there right now. So Abraham Hicks would say that if you ask, it is given. That's what that means. That the second that you think of something, it already exists. That's why prayer can be powerful. That's why we pray from the place of, and so it is, and so it is done. Because we actually recognize that as soon as I have thought it, if I can imagine it, if I can think it, it's already created. Now I'm just doing the work of aligning with it, of giving it momentum, giving it emotion, so that then it comes into being. This is why many times the things that we worry about, the things that we fear, come into being. Because we put emotion and place our vibration there, giving it energy. It's the same process of creation. It doesn't matter which one we're doing. So again, where are we? We are in a vibrational universe. Everything vibrates. Who are we? We are vibrational beings as well. And not only that, we are creators. We have the power through our vibration to create, to be, to do, to have whatever we want. And so then the final question, the easy question, and again, this is simple. Keep it simple, silly. What can we do with this knowledge? Well, this is where we go back to what Poe's father said to him. To make something special, you just have to believe it's special. And so I offer to you, believe. Whatever it is that you're desiring, whatever it is that you want to create, whatever it is that you want to be, you are powerful creators. Believe it. You are powerful creators. Believe it. Now, some would say, oh, well, you know, the thing that I really want, I don't know if I can believe that because I've never seen it. My mother has never experienced it. My father's never experienced it. Or people that grew up where I come from never experienced that thing. I don't know if I can really believe that. I mean, I desire it, but I don't know if I can believe it. And what we can understand here when we think about a belief is just a thought that you keep thinking. It's just a practice thought. So a belief is not something that's infinitely or significantly more special than any other belief. It's just something that we continue to think. And so when I say just believe, I'm not asking you to be Pollyanna pie in the sky, just, oh, I believe, and that's all you do. Because again, just thinking I want to be rich, or I am rich, that doesn't bring it instantly into manifestation. But if you believe, and if it's something that you absolutely desire, then what you must do is continue to focus on that belief on a daily basis. Just 10 minutes a day. That thing that you believe, that thing that you desire. You can start by writing down, these are the reasons why I want the thing that I want. These are the reasons why I want to experience the things that I want to experience. Just 10 minutes a day. This is practicing a thought. As I said, a belief is just a thought that you keep thinking. And because you are a powerful, deliberate creator, you can deliberately create what you want in this way. And so each morning, each day, just 10 minutes. These are the reasons why I want what I want. And you focus on that. And we've talked about it before. We're focusing on what we want, not what we do want. Because sometimes I can say, you know, you could say, I want to be in a relationship because I don't want somebody that's broke. I don't want this. I want to be in a relationship with my ideal person because I don't, you're going to create that. if that's the place you create from, because you're a powerful creator. So you focus only on the reasons why you want it. And then secondarily, start another sentence and say, and these are the reasons why I believe I will have what I want. Well, why? Well, I know and understand that I'm a deliberate creator. I understand that we actually live in a vibrational universe, and I am also vibrating. And so I can vibrate to the level of whatever it is I desire. I recognize and remember in this moment that if I ask, it is given. Said another way, actually whatever I think, it's already created in the realm of thought. And so I'm actually just bringing it into being. I don't actually have to do anything hard because it already exists. Why do I believe I can have what I want? Because I recognize that the universe only says yes to me. I recognize that, as I said last week, the universe is neither prejudiced nor preferential. It's just like the ground. We put a seed in the ground, it's going to bring whatever type of seed we place in it. It's not judging you, oh, she's not worthy enough to have an apple tree, but he's worthy to have the apple tree. It doesn't do that, and neither does the universe. Right? We may have heard these concepts and ideas about God being judgmental, or God only gives you this if you're good enough, or if you prove that you're worthy. And that's something that I've been sitting with a lot as I've been sitting with this process and thinking about things that I desire. I find that still at times in my life, I'm still trying to justify, oh, well, I can have this thing because I've done something good enough, right? Or I can have this thing because people seem to like what I'm doing, right? So if my desire was, I'm choosing to put out a new album and sell 1 million records, right? And I could use as a justification for why I can have that. Well, people like my music. That's still operating in that level of worthiness or unworthiness, because the universe does not care if people like your music. That's why people that can't sing sell millions of records. Because the universe doesn't care. What happened is that person said, this is what I want. They lined up with that desire, with that vibration, that feeling tone, and they created it. That's why there are rich people that are mean, and there are rich people that are nice. The universe doesn't care. They received the seed that they placed in the ground, using this analogy, and said, oh, you planted an apple tree here. It's neither prejudice nor preferential. That's why I know I can have what I want. Whatever it is that you want. And there's nothing too big. There's nothing too grand. There's nothing too expansive. And the beautiful thing about life is expansive. I love the series. If you haven't seen it, please go see it. Cosmos, that was on Fox. Just a few months ago, because it's talking about the birth of the universe and the continuing expanding of the universe. Our universe is continually expanding. New stars are being formed and exploding, and new galaxies are being discovered and being created. That's the truth of life. And you are a physical manifestation and representation of that same truth. And so, even as you may manifest and create the ideal job and career that you want, there's more. And that is your job, to be an expanded being on the earth. And so, as you work with these desires, as you work with these and begin to create them, you'll find that there are new desires, there are new things that you want to birth, there are new things that will show up. And it's the same process every time, no matter what it is. No matter what it is just as easy to create your ideal relationship as it is to create your ideal job, as it is to create your ideal financial situation, as it is to create your ideal family relationships, as it is to create whatever it is that you want. To create the vacation that you want, to travel around the world if you want for a year, whatever it is, it's just as easy. And so I'm going to leave you with just two thoughts. One is from a song that I wrote. I believe I shared this once before, but thinking about my daughter Malcolm and wanting to encourage her to know that she can create her life. And I wrote this line: the story of your life is the story that you write. This is absolutely true, right? And so what I'm offering in this process of saying, these are the reasons why I want what I want, you're writing the story of your life. That's what you're doing. And your mind begins to align with it, and as you go through life, you begin to, all of a sudden, out of the blue, magnificently, miraculously, all of a sudden, right, you've been thinking about this trip that you want to take, and then all of a sudden you find out that, a friend you haven't seen in years is a travel agent, and they're having some great contest where you can win a trip to Italy, and it's like, oh my God, it's all right there. You created it. The story of your life is the story that you write. You have the possibility to write your story, right? And we've been living life by default for so long. Aren't you tired of it? I mean, seriously, doesn't it get old? Like living life by default, this statistic came out and said that I might die if I eat this food. So, oh no, right? And then you live by default, and then you begin to create from that place. Right? But I've made a decision in my life that I'm going to make choices in my life because I'm choosing to. Pastor Ron and I were watching this great movie. I couldn't remember the title. I promise I'll get it to you. But it was a guy who was sort of in his midlife, and he was trying to find out the secret to growing old well. He travels all around the world and interviews all of these beautiful people who are in their 80s and 90s and some that have made it into 100 plus. And he's trying to find what is their secret, how did you do it? How are you thriving? Now it's interesting, some people ate well and, did those things. There's this other guy that I love in the UK, He smokes cigarettes. He drinks beer all the time. He's like, I'm going to keep going. He ran a marathon. He was like, I took 5 stops during the marathon. Every stop I had to smoke and I had to drink beer. Right? But he's thriving in his life and he's hilarious and he's vivacious and full of life and he's run 2 marathons. Right? But prevailing wisdom says you can't drink and smoke and live till you're 100 plus years old and running marathons. Right? But he made a decision for himself, for his life, that I really don't care what other people say. This is what I'm doing and I shall thrive. The story of my life is the story that I write. And so I was thinking about another word that maybe we can use that helps, right? Because I can say you are a creator, that you create your life. We can say that we're manifestors. We manifest our life. We're master manifestors. Powerful words. But we could also say that we are choosers. And maybe that can help somebody here today, I hope, right? That you're a chooser. You're choosing your life. You're choosing what you want to experience, just like you choose what you're going to have for lunch or for brunch today, right? And it's not based on what anybody told you. It's not based on your worthiness or unworthiness. It's not based on whether you're deserving or not, right? It's not based on what your mother did or did not do. It's not based on that story. It's not based on emotional abuse or sexual abuse or any of those things. None of that has anything to do with it. You recognize that you have the power to choose to have bacon and eggs if you want to have bacon and eggs this afternoon. You understand that? And there's nobody that can hinder or change that or affect that in any way. You are the chooser of your life in the same way. Can we just say that? I am the chooser of my life.
I am the chooser of my life.
And so think about the choices that you want to make. Because the universe is just one big menu with every option and every possibility. It already exists in the realm of mind. And then our focusing on it is simply the choosing. I want to experience this. And you can have fun with it. Because there's some things sometimes we want to experience. You know, there may be a type of car that you want. And then you realize, oh, I don't really enjoy this. Like, this is not cool. You know, I thought it was going to be cool, but it's not. Or you may decide that, you know, you wanted to visit a certain country, but when you go there, you're like, yeah, this is, I don't really enjoy France. I mean, I think France is amazing, but, right, maybe France is not the country for you, you know? Whatever it is, you can treat it as a game and recognize that if you chose it, you had the experience. That means you can choose something else and have a different experience, easily and effortlessly. But most of all, know that there's no secret ingredient. The only ingredient that's required is you. Your choice, your desire, and then your focus on it, unwavering focus on it, no matter what. Again, regardless of the prevailing wisdom. Just like my brother in the UK, yeah, all the world says that he should eat and drink a certain way, and he says, I don't care. This is how I'm going to live my life, and he's thriving and living longer than many of his other counterparts who did the right thing. Right? It's about your individual belief. And so on that, I invite everyone to stand. We are the choosers of our life. We are the choosers of our life. I love that. And every day we're making a choice, consciously or unconsciously. Every day we're making a choice, deliberately or undeliberately. But where we really tap into our power is when we begin to make it a deliberate choice. When we begin to write it down. And not just write it down once, yes, again, asking it is given, it is done. There are things that I've written 5 years ago that I'm experiencing it now. But what I also understand is sometimes it didn't really come out the way I wanted it to, right? And that's where that deliberate daily process comes in. Because then you begin to fine-tune it. Then you begin to get more clarity around it. And then you begin to get more momentum around it. And then you find that you begin to create, I love this word, you begin to create elegantly. It's just beautiful. It's like perfect penmanship, like calligraphy. It's just, oh my God, I can just choose and it's beautiful as it comes out. That's what focusing on it daily does. That's what writing and thinking about it daily does. You begin to create elegantly. And so, Mother, Father God, I am grateful and thankful for the choosers here in this room, for the master manifestors, for the creators in this room. I'm grateful to remember that there is no secret ingredient. Because we recognize that we have been told or led to believe that we needed to have perfect circumstances around our birth in order to be great on the earth. But if there's no secret ingredient, I know now that the circumstances of our birth have nothing to do with us living and being powerful here on the earth now, but being, doing, and having whatever we want. Yes, there was a prevailing wisdom that said we had to look a certain way in order to achieve in this world, but we recognize now that we are the choosers of our life, and so it does not matter what we look like. We can choose, and we shall be, do, or have whatever we want. There was prevailing wisdom in the world that said that we had to love a certain person or be from a certain family. That we had to dot certain I's or cross certain T's, that we had to obey certain laws, and then we could achieve. But we recognize that the story of our life is the story that we write. And so as we write our story, we write the story now that we are holy. We write the story now that we are worthy. We write the story now that we are eternal and unlimited. We write the story now that there is nothing that can separate us from our good. We write the story now that we remain as God created us. We write the story now that we are perfect, whole, and complete. We write the story now that we can be, we can do, we can have whatever we want. We write the story now that we can experience whatever it is we choose to experience by virtue of our word and by virtue of our desire and by virtue of our vibration. I am just so grateful for the souls that are in this room and within the sound of my voice, because I know that we have recognized now in this moment that we no longer have to wait for permission. We no longer have to wait for some secret. We no longer have to wait for someone to tell us something that was taken away from us or hidden from us. We simply have to choose and focus on it. And so we are choosing this week to walk through the earth as choosers. We are choosing to walk through this week as deliberate creators. We are choosing to walk through this week knowing that we create every circumstance and experience in our lives, and we can uncreate every circumstance or experience in our lives as we choose. And so we release these words now back into you, back into cause, back into the how, back into the place where it actually all exists. And we know that through us, we will create a magnificent world, a magnificent life, and it will be done easily, effortlessly, and elegantly. And for this I am so very grateful. We lift up our voices and we say amen. Amen. Ashe. And so it is.